Hello friends, it's the Grub back once again with another episode of the Kerbal space program, and we're back here at the KSC. Uh, I have made one change to this. I've not done any updates, even though the ARM patch has come out, the asteroid redirect mission has come out. I've not updated anything yet. I'm holding off and waiting to see if some of the major mods that I use will be updated along with it before I do that. However, I have made one change. I went ahead and I removed RemoteTech. I just couldn't seem to figure out how to get a good satellite system up, and that would just cause me to hamper. That was just going to be a big hamper to everything. I still have, my limitations, to be getting out all the Eeloo. I still need to have the life support and everything. But this way we can start sending out probes, and in fact, that's kind of what I want to do today. Not send out a probe so much as start mapping. I can map Kerbin here, and I can send a satellite to the moon. Where is it at? It must be too high up. But I can send a map satellite to the moon. So I think that's what I'm going to do today. So we can see we can unlock the science that the maps give us. And then once we've done that, maybe I'll send a probe out to Minmus as well at the end of this. I'll just see how long all this takes here. But first things first, we need to go ahead and build us a little satellite. So we'll go ahead and we'll start off with a little bitty satellite here. And this will be our Kerbin orbiter. Let's see. We'll just call it a Kerbin MapSat. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be there to map with the it's going to be a satellite that's just there to map Kerbin. Let's see. And we're not going to put any kind of things on it because we've already got most, if not all, the science that's available outside in Kerbin there. Just going to stick on a lot of batteries. I want to get some solar panels, and I'll go ahead and I'll build this up here, maybe in fast motion, or I'll cut back to it once it's done. No sense in making you sit here and watch me do it. Alright folks, we are back, and as you can see here, I've come up with my design for my satellite. It's a very basic satellite. We'll call this our tier 1 since we don't have anything else. There's different levels to the satellite system, so we're going to be putting up more satellites eventually to do more mapping. But right now, just kind of putting together a basic little map satellite system here. Now, I'm half tempted to go ahead and just put my launcher that I've been using on this thing, but I think that may just be about too much thrust. What are we looking at here? Well, especially if I do that. Come on. There we go. Because I don't need that then. What is it? Yeah, way too much thrust. Yeah, that's more than we'll need just to put this thing into orbit. So let's go ahead and see what we can make here to put this thing up into a polar orbit. I'm sure this is more than enough to put me into the polar orbit just to this, because I mean it's a very lightweight satellite. So let's go ahead and see if this will do what we need it to do. First, let's go ahead and set that up. You want those? Yes, okay. Then this blows. Oops. Forgot the coupler. There we go. Okay, so that goes, then that blows, then that fires. There we go. So that'll blow and fire at the same time. Get those two blowing. And then I'll use the RCS to adjust the orbit once I'm up there. So let's go ahead and see if this will work. Do a quick save there. And finally, we also have a mission where we're not endangering the lives of our Kerbals. We're giving them a little bit of a break. After all, we did lose 2 Kerbals to moon missions. Let's go ahead and wait for morning. Get a morning mission. I will speed up through this because I don't know how long it's going to take to get to daytime. It'll go faster than the 4 times speed. There we go. Alright. So we are off to put us a satellite out to map our planet. Get a good map for once instead of just the quick peaks that we were getting previously. So here we go. Okay, something I just realized I did forget. That core does not have nearly enough torque to turn this thing around like I need to right now. So, yeah. Did not work out the way I was planning. And I don't want to have it this high up. I do want it about 200 though. That should make things a little bit easier on us. Alright, I'll be back once I have this thing into orbit. Now we have ourselves about where I want to be, and I think I have myself on the right inclination. Let's go ahead and... I'm pretty sure I'm on the right inclination. If not, I got more than enough monopropellant to correct it. And this was more than enough staging to get me up here. I'm going to go ahead and reverse this so that I can drop it into the gravity well. Then I'll use my RCS to put myself back into the proper orbit that I'm looking for. Okay. Alright, go ahead and blow that off. Pop that. We got ourselves our RCS. It's not a very traditional setup, I guess. I don't really know what a traditional RCS setup would be. Oops. Let me go my docking mode here. There we go. Alright. Still working the orbit here. I'll go ahead and be back once that's taken care of. So this will probably take a while since it burns so lowly. Alright, we have ourselves in a fairly decent orbit there. That's pretty good. Well done, well done. So let's go ahead and let's try and reorientate ourselves here. Let's see, I think if I put myself on one of these, regardless of what way we go, I'll always be facing that point. You just turn around it. Let me see, is this the one? Yeah, this is the spot. I'll go ahead and I'll face that way. Let's go ahead and deploy our satellite. Get ourselves a better low-res scan of Kerbin. We've only got 54% of it scanned up. Let's check out how our polar lapse here works. Let's see how much of a we may get or we may miss. So looks like we're gonna miss about, looking at it, I'd say 5 dots worth if you count from the edge here to the center. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a little bit of a gap here. It's not perfectly polar, but I think I'll keep it as is. We don't have to have a perfectly polar scan. Maybe I'll try for a perfect polar on the next one. But yeah. So now I have to just leave this running. But before I do that, let's go ahead and collect the science that we've not gotten from this yet. Yeah, oh yeah, okay, 0.1. Something. Go ahead and send it. Yeah, go ahead and let this continue. Go ahead and pump it up to 4 and just watch it go for a few moments there. Because unfortunately, you have to actually be focusing the craft for it to count to as a in order for it to be able to map. You actually have to have the craft focus. So, you know, if I go and launch my Mooner one, of course I could do that while I'm waiting. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and get in place to go build our Mooner map set Mark 1. But we got our first one up, so there we go. This will probably be a bit of a longer episode, just so I can get this stuff done. And I'll just break it up into multiple episodes to be released at one time, probably. So we're going to want to use the same basic design for the satellite. I'm not going to make any changes there, but because we are going to the moon, I'm going to use our original launcher, because I know that will make it to the moon. It may be too much, but hey, balls to the wall, go all out. And like I said, these are going to be considered Mark 1 map sats, because if you notice in the previous one, and I'll show it when we get back to the moon, when we get this thing, we go back and watch it while we're waiting for this thing to make its Mooner rendezvous. And I'll try and go for a perfectly polar one for this one. But yeah, waste heat will build up, and eventually they'll not be worth it. They won't work well. I don't know how long it'll take. Hopefully I'll be able to get into my Mark IIs right away before that, but who knows. So let's go ahead and make our launch for the moon. And I'll go ahead and I'll just do this up until I'm ready to shoot for the moon. So here we go. You know what? I think we might be able to. If what's supposed to happen here is true, as long as I burn towards that, I should be able to make a shot for the moon. Let's just watch and see what happens here. For all this is only money this time. It's not actually like we're playing around with any Kerbal lives. So we can go ahead and give this a shot. See if we can go straight for a moon encounter. With no special little fibble fobbles. Other than I'm going to have to stage. Okay. So I was kinda close, but not really. Go ahead and we'll get to this point, and then we'll see where we get to at that. Let's go ahead and make our burn. Yeah, I probably could have jumped over at that point too. Oh well. Okay, so 7 seconds, that's what? Say 4. In between 4 and 3, I guess. Alright, we're set up to hit the moon. I want to see if I can change my angle on it enough. It's close enough to maybe get it close to polar, so we'll go ahead and do that. But that's 2 hours, so we get to that point, so let's switch over to our next one. So let's go ahead and go to Space Center. Since we got time, and let's go ahead and let our MapSat run while we wait for us to orbit or rendezvous with the moon. And we'll watch our Kerbin satellite map Kerbin in the meantime. So let's go ahead here. Yeah, we're good. We've got plenty of time here. So we'll just go ahead and set it to go. And map. And we'll be back. Oh yeah, while I'm doing that, I don't seem to be generating any waste heat here, I guess. I figure I'd be generating some waste heat, but I guess I'm not. That's good. I prefer not to be generating any waste heat. That means these satellites can go until I'm ready to burn them down back into out of orbit. So yeah, okay, that works. I'm fine with that. Or is it maybe because it doesn't quite pull enough power, but it pulls just a little bit? I don't know. Still got plenty of time here just to let this thing continue mapping. We're up to 69%, 67. Come on, let's get 70% of Kerbin mapped. 70% of Kerbin has been mapped. Alright, looks like it's time to jump to our ship and prepare for our maneuver. That's one of the reasons I do love Kerbal Alarm Clock. Okay. Oh, wait. Did it... Oh, it deleted my maneuver. Crap. Okay. Yeah, it's close enough. I figured it would have at least saved my maneuver node. Whoops. We'll see how that turns out once we get there. Yeah, I know we're getting close. But I mean, I'm like a million meters away, so I don't think I have any problems of crashing into the moon right now. Okay, yeah. That's doable. Let's see what we can do about that to make it a little bit better. Can we get more of a polarish orbit? There we go. I think that'll work for that. Okay, that'll be our first burn. I mean, I got plenty of Delta V to play around with here. Not to mention what I have in RCS fuel, so... So it was a 13-second burn. Okay. And I'll be back when we get ourselves into the orbit. And I'll also bring it back. It'll be also when I'm down in a lower orbit, you know, done all the fine-tuning and all that. When I'm ready to start mapping the moon, I'll be back. Alright folks, so I decided since we had plenty of time here left to wait for that thing to reach its mark, we'll go ahead and pick up some, let Kerbin keep mapping itself. After all, you know, we don't want to lose too much. Because, I mean, it's going to be 4 hours before this thing reaches its mark. So that's plenty of time to get some mapping done. So just kind of sit back and relax, and I'll be back, probably do a small cut as we get close. Until then, saw you then. Hello folks, and we are coming back up here on our time for our maneuver, and well, before we do that, look at this. We got 84% of Kerbin mapped out. Let's just take a quick look at our big rectangular map of it. And as it turns out, I managed to get a good bit of the polar regions. I just have like a very small area that I missed. I was expecting to have a lot more uncharted area down there. But as you can see here, I'm starting to get a better idea of our Kerbin planet. Very low-res scan of it though. So we don't have too many details. But, you know, we get a good idea of the land masses, the ice sheets, and all that. You know, if one were to look at this, one would think that Kerbin is just one big landmass. The continent on Kerbin is one big landmass. Of course, this would be frozen ice up here, but just kind of looking at some of this here, it looks like it does all connect. But enough of that. We'll go ahead and pump this up until we get to where it's going to tell us it's time for our maneuver. Just coming up here. Yeah, there we go. And restore maneuver node. Let's see if that did what it's supposed to do. Yeah, looks like it. Alright. I don't need that open right now. Where is the old Mooney? There he is. Alright. And like I said, I'll be back once I have everything under control here and in place. Drop this into the moon. Blow that out, blow that out. Turn on our RCS, turn on our docking. And we'll go ahead and push our periaps back up to about 200,000. And you know, like I said, then I'll go ahead and do all the stuff I need to do to get this thing back in its place. There we go. And we'll go back when we get back to our periaps again. Alright folks, here we are coming back to our periapsis. I'm still facing the right direction, good. Alright folks, we are back, and I think this will work for our orbit. It's not as good as our orbit was for Kerbin, but I think it'll do. So let's go ahead and just park ourselves right here, so we'll always move along that line. And let's go ahead and start up our map, so we can start mapping them in. So we've got 22.4%. Let's see how much science that'll send us back right now. None. So we must have gotten that science already sent back. So there we go. We have our science satellite, our map satellite orbiting the moon. Let's take a look and see what kind of a polar orbit we have. And that's actually a pretty good polar orbit. That should actually cover. Maybe we'll have like just this little bittiest area right here in the polar region we'll miss. I'll take it. So yeah, there we go. That just leaves one more moon, or I should say one more moon in Kerbin's sphere of influence that needs a satellite. And I kind of want to I want to kind of map that one a little bit before I send off a manned mission to slingshot it and whatnot. So let's go ahead and I think maybe I'll call this one for now, and then maybe next episode we'll send a satellite off to Minmus, because I've never had too much luck trying to get to Minmus. That could take a whole episode. And then while we wait for our translation times and that, I will go ahead and continue doing the mappings of both Kerbin and the moon. So this has been the Grub. Thanks for watching. And we finally got some satellites up. We had to take RemoteTech off to do it, but they're up now. Take it easy, folks. Bye-bye.